Good evening and welcome to Alan's Italy. Tonight we are going to be going outside of the big cities, south of Florence, and going into one of the really beautiful small hill towns of central Italy, the town of Civita di Bagnoregio. But first, I would like to do a couple of things. I'd like to remind you that if you'd like to call the station and ask me a question, please do so at 679-7777 and call at about 5:45, and I will answer any and all questions if I can. Also, of course, you may email me at Alan's Italy, that's Alan without the apostrophe, Alan's Italy at gmail.com. I would also like to tell you that the shows are now being repeated during the week, but not the week immediately following. In other words, not starting this week, but this show will actually be on the week after that. So if you'd like to see it again, it'll be on twice a day at 5 a.m. and at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, 7 days a week. And finally, the shows are now on YouTube, and you can go to Alan's Italy on YouTube, and there will be all of the shows that I will have done. So there are lots of opportunities to see the show if you're not able to do it live. Now, the first thing I'd like to do is go to finish up a question. If you remember last time, somebody called up, I think his name was Philip, or Edward, not sure exactly what his name was, but he asked me a very good question. He and his wife are going to be in Florence for 2.5 days, and they wanted some advice on what to do. And it was at the very end of the show, and I gave a very fast answer. So rather than, leaving it like that, I decided that I would like to answer the question again in greater detail and show a map. So let's go to that first before we do the actual show on Civita right now. Okay, so this is a map of Florence. Actually, it's not a map of all of Florence. It's just a map of the what's called the Centro district, and that's the right in the middle of the town. And I'm not sure where this fellow and his wife will be staying in terms of a hotel or wherever they're staying. But certainly, if they were staying at the hotel that I stay in, which is the Via della Scala rather, which is right on the side over here, this is what I would suggest they do. I would suggest that they come down here, taking this street, right past the church of Santa Maria Novella, perhaps duck into the church just to get a view of what that looks like. And then to keep going across here, and they would come out on the Piazza del Duomo, which we covered in the last show, or 2 shows ago, and they would start at the baptistry, which is right over here, and then they would come out and go to the cathedral, and they could either climb to the top of the cathedral to see a really magnificent view of Florence and the surrounding countryside, or if they wanted to, they could climb up the Campanile over here. I believe it's 400 steps though, so it's not for the faint-hearted. It's a very difficult climb. I've never done it because I just don't believe I have the stamina for it, but I've heard that it's a very beautiful view. And then when they leave that Piazza del Duomo, they can come right down here, down the Via Calzaiuolo, which is the street that connects the religious center where the Duomo is, to the political center, which is where the Piazza della Signoria is. And they could just duck over here to the church of Or San Michele to get a look at that. Oh, that's over here. This, if they just take a right turn going south on the Via Calzaiuolo, they come into the Piazza Repubblica. So you could do the Piazza della Repubblica and the Church of Or San Michele, then continue going down into the Piazza della Signoria, which we did in great detail a couple of shows ago. And you could go to the Palazzo Vecchio over here. You could take a look at the Loggia de Lanza, and you could come through the courtyard of the Uffizi. I suggest not going in there yet because undoubtedly you've traveled from someplace, so you're probably tired and you don't want to look through one of the major museums in Florence. So I would suggest going right through the courtyard of the Uffizi and right to the river and get a nice view of the river here, and then walk back towards the west to the Ponte Vecchio and take a look at the Ponte Vecchio perhaps. Walk across it if you'd like and just take a look at the very beginnings here of Oltre Arno, where the Palazzo Pitti is. There's a very nice restaurant over here if you're hungry and you like to get a little something to eat. There's a very nice restaurant just before you get to the Palazzo Pitti called Sagrestia, which is a very nice place I've eaten many times. Then I would suggest walking across the Arno over here on the south bank, crossing back over to the north bank and going into the Church of Santa Trinita, and then go back to the river and go to the Piazza Ognissanti, and then perhaps back to the hotel. That little walk that I just described would probably take about 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours, depending upon how long you're stopping and whether you're stopping for lunch or not. And that would be the first afternoon that you arrive. I would suggest for the second day that you make a reservation at the Uffizi for the next morning. And if you send me an email, I can tell you exactly how you would do that, but there are phone numbers to make a reservation, or you could go to the website and make a reservation that way. Definitely do not get there without a reservation, because you may have to wait online for a wasted 2 hours. You could certainly do better things during those 2 hours since you have such a limited time. So you need a reservation, and I would suggest making a reservation for maybe 10 or 11. Spend a couple of hours in the Uffizi going through some of the art. You can't do all of it, of course, because that's going to be very difficult in a couple of hours. I know people who have spent as many as 5 and 6 hours, and I don't suggest that because that's like really grueling. I'm never in there for more than about 2 hours myself, and I love this stuff, but after 2 hours it becomes very difficult. When you come out of the Uffizi, I would suggest going behind it over here to the Via Leone, where there are some very nice trattorias for a very nice lunch, and I would certainly recommend Trattoria Alfredo, which is right on that street, and I've eaten there many, many times, and it's a wonderful trattoria. Great food, very nice service, and a lot of nice charm and atmosphere. Right after that, I would suggest walking along the street right next to it and go to the Church of Santa Croce. Spend a little time in the church, see the Pazzi Chapel, look at the famous tombs of the famous Florentines, and then I would suggest coming back here to the Via Torta and go to Vivoli, where you could have some nice dessert. Don't have dessert in the restaurant. You want to have dessert at Vivoli, where you could get some incredible ice cream, and take the ice cream with you and then walk back towards the way you came. You want to get to the Via Proconsolo over here, go back to the Duomo, but don't stay at the Duomo because you've just seen that already, although there is the Duomo Museum over here, which is a very wonderful museum. Go around it, up here, and go up the street here, which is Via Cavour, to the Church of San Lorenzo and the very wonderful and famous San Lorenzo Market, the largest market in Florence, which you could easily spend a couple of hours shopping in the beautiful market, and that would really finish off your afternoon. That's a really full day, and then come back to the hotel. If it's my hotel, of course, it's Croce di Malta on Via della Scala here, and then go to one of the restaurants that I would recommend to you, either Dante's or La Spada, or perhaps Grotto di Leo. Then the next day, you want to have a reservation at the Accademia, which is the gallery where David is located, Michelangelo's David, and that's up here. So you want to get a reservation, then walk over there, but don't take the same route. take a more northern route where you come up over here perhaps, walking through some of the more deserted streets of the Centro area, and get to the Accademia, spend time seeing David and all of the unfinished sculptures that Michelangelo did that line the hallway leading up to where David is. Then when you come out of there, you could go to the Monastery of San Marco with some wonderful paintings by Fra Angelico. There's a very nice piazza in the front with a park with a nice couple of benches where you could relax. Maybe have some lunch. I can't recommend a place up here because I very rarely eat up here. But if you're going to choose a restaurant in Florence, sight unseen, I would suggest that you peek into the restaurants, and if you see a lot of locals, in other words, a lot of people speaking Italian, a very small place, that's the place you want to go. And if it says no credit cards accepted, that's even better because you know that it's definitely the locals, and a neighborhood restaurant is what you want. Then I would suggest you come back this way, kind of the way you came when you were going to the San Lorenzo market, back to the Duomo, but skirt the Duomo. Everywhere you go, of course, is where the Duomo is. And then you come down the Via Calzaiolo again, grab some gelato along here for dessert. There are some good places here. Be careful, because sometimes the prices along the street are very high. And then go back here to another market, which is the Mercato Nuovo. It's a much smaller market. It's covered. It used to be right outside of, it used to be a grain market right here. And that's a wonderful market as well where you could spend quite a bit of time. I would then suggest maybe recrossing the Ponte Vecchio, but this time with an eye for shopping if you're interested in buying some 18-karat jewelry, which is right along here, gold jewelry. You might stay in the Ultra Arno area and go to the Boboli Gardens, beautiful gardens behind the Palazzo Pitti. You could go into the Pitti perhaps and go to the very nice art gallery, or you could just walk in the Ultra Arno area here. Go to the Church of San Spirito, go to the Brancacci Chapel where you could see some wonderful works by Masaccio, and then come back across the bridge back to the hotel. That's 2.5 really very full days in Florence. So for the fellow that called last week, I hope that answers your question. That's a more detailed explanation because now you get to see what it looks like on the map in terms of the distances and so on. So that's 2.5 wonderful days in Florence. And now we're ready to take a look at this very extraordinary hill town it's actually, there's a spot as you go down from Florence to the south, you come across the town of Orvieto, located on a hill. South of Orvieto is an area where Umbria, Tuscany, and Lazio come together. So this town, Civita di Bagnoregio, is really located in the northern part of Lazio, which is actually called Alto Lazio, which is right by where Tuscany and Umbria come together. The town is Bagnoregio, that's out of the picture here at the bottom. And Bagnoregio is connected to Civita by this bridge. And let me tell you a little bit about the history of this incredible town. There are many hill towns throughout Italy, and this is one that was built by the Etruscans in about 2,500 years ago in an extinct volcano. So it was actually built into the volcano. The land around the volcano, and certainly the lava that has hardened within the volcano, is called tufa, which is a very soft rock that is very easy to carve into. And the Etruscans chose this spot to build their city. And there are many tunnels and there are many caves that you could visit that are still available to see. But the problem with this town is it's still the scene of earthquakes and land erosion. So the town was actually much larger than you're seeing it now. because a lot of the land has fallen off over the 2,500 years. The Romans took over this town later in the first millennium BC, and then there was a period of decline in the population where the population decreased significantly, and then it began to rise again. Saint Bonaventure was born in this town. Saint Bonaventure was a theologian and a philosopher during the 1300s. That his career spanned most of the 1300s, right in the middle. And he was born in a house which is no longer visible because it fell off the cliff due to land erosion and earthquakes. The church in the middle of this town, which is actually called a church now, it used to be called a cathedral. A church is called a cathedral when it has a bishop, and there was a bishop that presided over this church, but after the earthquake of 1695, he got frightened and left the town and then took up residence in Bagnoregio. This is a town that did not have a bridge at all prior to 1926. There was a natural saddle between the towns of Civita and the town of Bagnoregio that people used to get from one to the other, which over the years eroded, and they had to build a bridge. So they built a bridge in 1926. The bridge was bombed during World War II, and this bridge that you see here was built in 1966 to take the place of the first bridge. And this is the only way to get to the town. There are other ways of getting to the town. There's kind of a path in the back of the town, which is a very treacherous and difficult road to take. And if you're going to be bringing supplies into the town, then this is the way to do it. Cars are not allowed on this, although I've seen little motorized vehicles bringing supplies. But for the most part, this is a pedestrian walk. And I'd like to first show you exactly where this is located. So let's do a very close-up here on Italy. Up here is Florence, and if you come down A1, which is the major autostrada that connects Florence to the southern part below Florence, you come to Orvieto, and you would get out of the autostrada at Orvieto and then drive down here. A very short trip, maybe 20 minutes. Here's Bagnoregio, and here is Civita. Okay, we're going to actually be going to the town of Lubriano first, which is right across the valley from Civita, and will give you a really wonderful view of what this hilltop town looks like. But this is the area called Alto Lazio, and over here to the northwest is Tuscany, with the town of Pitigliano, and to the east is Umbria with other towns. Orvieto is part of Umbria, as well as Todi and Spoleto and Spello, and the famous town up here of Assisi, and Cortina. Cortona actually is could be part of Tuscany, so I think that Umbria kind of comes around here. It encompasses Gubbio at the northern end, and then comes all the way down here like that. Okay, so again, as I indicated, we're starting our tour in Lubriano. Whenever I take a person on a tour of this area of Italy, this is my starting location, because this is number one, it's a very lovely town in its own right. But it's also the place where you can get an extraordinary view of some beautiful countryside. It's a pretty town. The town gets very annoyed because people are basically stopping here on their way to Civita. But it's a pretty town, and it's got some nice restaurants, and as you can see in the next few pictures, it is a very nice hill town in its own right. And I'll tell you something, these look like pretty ordinary buildings, apartments, but the view from these windows is extraordinary, as you'll see in a few moments. This is another view of that same area. Some streets. This is the street that you would take to get up to the town. There's another view with the church in Lubriano. And if you look, this is looking to the south, And you can see the beautiful valley that is encompassing in front of you. The wall that you see in the foreground is the wall that you would stand at to get the view I'm about to show you. If you look a little more to the, let's see, to the west, this is what you would see, which is very beautiful, a very beautiful countryside. If you then turn quickly to your north, and you look to the north, you'll be able to see the town of Orvieto with the magnificent cathedral in the background. Those sticks you see hanging up there, down on the ground, are where olives grow, where they make wine. And then if you then turn back towards the west, this is the view that you will see. And this is a view of Civita off in the distance. And you can see a few things here. For example, you see the town, you see the campanile of the church, and let me just show you that over here, there's the footbridge that you would need to take to get up to Civita, and if you go this way, you'll come to the town of Bagnoregio. So we're going to be going to Bagnoregio next, across the valley, and then to get to Civita, you have to go up this bridge. Okay, so that's the next thing we'll be doing. And here's another view of Civita with the footbridge right next to it there. And you can get an idea as to what that footbridge encompasses. It's very difficult to get up that bridge, and I have better pictures of that in a few minutes so you can see that. But this is a very beautiful hill town. Look at that. It's just amazing. And that's part of the town because the other part has fallen off into the valley, unfortunately. But that's a very beautiful town, and here's a really close-up view of it. And obviously the Etruscans liked this location because it was very easy to defend against invaders. Okay, this is the town of Bagnoregio. So to get to Civita, you have to drive from Lubriano across the valley going west to this town. This was taken from a hotel that we were staying in Bagnoregio that night. There's the church with the church steeple right next to it, the campanile. And you would go down this street where you see that car there, and down that street you would come to, oh, this is a view of the room. Okay, this is a view of the room we had. It was a pretty room with a canopy bed, and Laura took this picture looking into the mirror, so this is an interesting shot. But this was the hotel. This is a view from the hotel looking in the opposite direction. That is, looking kind of to the north. And this is the road that you go down in order to get to Civita. There's a church there at the end of the street. I took a wrong turn when I first came down this street, driving for the first time. I went to the left. That's not right. So where that car is coming towards us is not the way to do this. You have to actually, at this fork, you have to go to the right, and when you do so, you wind up facing, in about a quarter of a mile, this fellow, and I'm not sure who this is, and I've never gotten any information on this, except that, to me, it looks like an Etruscan, which would make sense. And right to the left of the Etruscan is the view of the town with the footbridge, and this gives you a lot of information here. Let me start by showing you that to park, you have to go down the hill to the left of the bridge, and you come to that parking lot that you see there, and you could park your car over there, or if there's no parking on that side, you go under the bridge to the other side, which I'll show you in a minute. But there's the town in the distance, and there's the footbridge. And the first part of the footbridge is very easy to get across. It looks almost like it's level, and I read somewhere that footbridge is actually going down a little bit. There's a decline there, and that's good because that's the easy part, because as you could see, once you get at the end of that, you have an extremely steep trip up the rest of that way, and that is not an easy hill. You go on what I think is about a 45-degree angle at least, and then when you get to the top of it, it just continues going around, and that is a very difficult road. My friend Lydia the first time she took me to this town in 2003, she and I were there alone. That particular time, she scampered up the hill. She's really used to these things because she lives in Italy. But I was huffing and puffing, holding onto the handrail. And when you get to the point right over here, let me just show you with the pointer. Here's where it really gets hard because it gets slightly steeper. And this is the part where you just have no breath left. And you go up this way, and then you go that way to the main entrance through that archway right over there. And there's the other side of the walkway with the other part of the parking lot. And there's the walkway you can see in the distance there. And it's obviously very difficult. It looks very difficult. You could always find parking somewhere, either on the left or the right. Okay, we're actually on the walkway now, walking towards the town. And this is the easy part, as you can see. And this is getting a little closer to that point. This is a little video I have. Let me reduce the sound because I'm actually, in half of this video, I'm apologizing to some people whose way I'm blocking, so that's not going to work out too well there. So let me just, this is just a video of what it looks like if you're looking at it live. There's the town, and I believe that Laura will now go to the left to show you what the left looks like. Pretty beautiful. There's Lubriano over there to the left, and now she's going to go to the right, I believe. And now the people are going around us. There they are. And that gives you a view of what the surrounding countryside looks like. It's pretty beautiful. And we're following the walkway. And now we're actually in the part where it's very steep. We took this picture, and they have a handrail there, which you're going to need. And we're getting closer. And we're at the very top now. And if you look to the left, this is the site you see. Pretty amazing. 2,500-year-old town, and some of those ruins are from 2,500 years old. And if you look to the right, this is what you see going to the right, the walls of Civita with the countryside. Again, looking a little bit more to the left this time, and coming up upon the archway that leads you into the town. There's what the archway looks like. That's certainly the top of the archway. I guess the fellow that manned the wall, or the person that manned the wall, probably a gentleman in those days, went up to that very top there to look out the countryside for invaders. There's me standing in front of the archway, which leads to a little tunnel area which takes you into the town. You go through that archway and you go back 2,500 years. It's really extraordinary, and that's the site that you're now going to see. Going through the other side, this is the site you see. There's me on the left and my friend David on the right, and it's a very beautiful town. The people who live there, and there aren't too many permanent residents, they've all kind of moved out or died out over the years, keep this town very beautiful. We're about to enter a piazza over there on the right, and we can't see it from here, but there's a blackboard on the wall on the right side, which is a restaurant that's showing the daily specials. Straight ahead is the Duomo, and this is the main street. And this is the Duomo with the Campanile on the left side. This is the Piazza del Duomo. That looks like a well in the middle. One would think it was a well, right? But keep that in mind for a story I will tell you in a few minutes. So there's a close-up of the quote-unquote well, which I'll tell you now is not real, and you'll hear the story in a moment. Okay, and now we're going to walk around Civita a little bit, and I'm going to stop talking so you could really get a look at the next several pictures, which gives you a view of one of the most beautiful towns I have ever seen in my 19 trips to Italy. So I'll just stop talking and let you look at some amazing pictures. I'm sorry, I stayed on this because this is my favorite picture of the whole sequence because this is just a gorgeous scene. Okay, so that was pretty amazing. That's what you do before lunch. And then if you want to have lunch, this is where I would suggest that you go. This is the place that I've gone through. The 3 times that I've been in Civita, I've gone for lunch here all 3 times. It's up those little steps that you see in the front with that blackboard on the floor, which is showing you the daily specials. And there's a doorway right behind it. And when you go through that doorway, you come to a restaurant by the name of Antica Forno. And this is the proprietor of Antica Forno. His name is Franco Sala, and I met him in 2003 when I went there with Lydia. Not in this restaurant, he moved to this spot. He was in a different spot, somewhere else, right off the Piazza del Duomo. And Lydia and I ate on a beautiful little terrace at the very end of July or beginning of August, I don't remember which one. And that's Franco on the left and Laura and I believe this is 2009. And I have 2 videos to show you. One of them is a video taken when Franco was the host for us this time. And this is the story of that visit, and I'll play it for you now. Okay, we are in Civita di Bagnoregio. We are in Antica Forno, which used to be called Antica Al Forno, but it's not Al Forno anymore.
Not anymore, because everybody called me Al.
Right. This is not Al. This is Franco Sala.
Yeah, Franco.
I have a picture of Franco and me taken 5 years ago. Here he is again. He looks younger now than he did 5 years ago. How do you stay so young?
Thank you so much.
How do you stay so young?
I sleep in the refrigerator nighttime, you know. I preserve myself.
And we got here too late for lunch, and he gave us lunch anyway, so we're very thrilled. And we're going to show this to everybody, and you're going to have more people coming than ever before because we have a lot of friends who have a lot of money, and they're going to come and visit. So I'd like to thank you for 5 years ago, and thank you for this now.
Have a pasta now.
Thank you.
Otherwise,
Okay, that's Franco Sala in 2009. This is him a year later. And this is a very charming man. He and I are Facebook friends. And we email each other every so often. And he likes me. And I like him very much. He's a wonderful, charming man. And that's the 2 of us in 2010. And here's another video. And I love this video. It's a little long, but I'm going to show it anyway and see how far we could get with this. This is a wonderful video of me interviewing Franco at the same table. That's David on the left side, and Randy is sitting next to him, and Laura is taking this video, and we're the only 2, there are 2 tables occupied. One is ours, and the other is a table right next to us, to our left. And here is the interview. When we were here in January of 2009, almost 2 years ago, you told us
2 years ago,
that the Pope was
he was came. Yeah, it came last year.
Could you tell us about that?
So, he just came last year, September 3rd.
How was that? You met? Did you shake hands with the Pope?
No, not really that. No, there was plenty people, and the popes came. You know why? Because Saint Bonaventure, since when he was 25, he presented his final university study, the study about Saint Bonaventure, you know, because Saint Bonaventure, he was the one who never permit the split, the Franciscan people and the Christian Church, I mean the Vatican. because the Vatican, he wanted to take the body from Assisi to Rome. And the Franciscans said, if you do that, we don't recognize you anymore. You understand? And it was very close to split.
The body of
San Francisco, of course. And Saint Bonaventure, at that time, he was in charge of the Franciscan people. And he was the one who made the peace between the Franciscan and the Vatican.
Did he live here?
He's born here.
In
Saint Bonaventure, on the back of this building.
Really?
Yeah, there is everything right on there.
Oh, okay.
He have a baptism in this baptism church, because the baptism fountain is dated 1,000, 1,100, something like that. And we're talking that Saint Bonaventure is 140 or 50, something like that.
Oh, I see.
So he has a baptism in this fountain.
Did the Pope eat in this
And the
restaurant?
Pope, no, he doesn't eat in the restaurant. He doesn't eat in anywhere.
Oh.
Just came.
How did he get up the bridge?
Just came by chopper. What do you think? Did the Pope climb the bridge?
Where they drove him in the truck.
I don't
Where did
think
they
so.
land? The piazza?
Yeah, the piazza.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, small chopper, yeah.
Did you see the Pope?
Well, yeah, of course, everybody can see him.
Oh.
Even you, if you
So
want it.
he just
You go to
came
St.
here?
Peter's Square, you can see the Pope.
He came here, but he didn't eat.
No. He just came. He said, thanks for everything. Thanks for begging Saint Bonaventure, because he followed his idea for all his life. You understand?
Yes.
And to do that, he's become Pope. He's just come back to say thank you to Saint Bonaventure.
Okay.
You
Now wait a
understand?
minute. Here's the next question might be related to the fact that the helicopter had to land in the middle of the town.
Yeah.
There used to be a well. What happened to the well?
Which one?
There was a well right in the center.
No. The
fake
well
well.
that you see was
Fake
not
well.
real well.
Why did they remove it?
No, because
The helicopter.
it was not real well. The time that you're coming, maybe we did some happening in the square, and to be more beautiful the square, to make more beautiful the square, we put this well in the middle, you understand?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the last point,
Yeah.
I sent you an email and told you that there was some sort of a computer virus that you were dealing with. Remember that?
Yeah. I changed. Yeah, what do you suggest to me? I changed the password and it's all disappeared.
It's gone, right.
Same thing happened to me. I changed the
Me too.
password and that's it.
Yeah, it's a virus.
Right.
How many people do you email?
By the time that I received the virus, at the time that I changed my password, it was about 3 or 4 months or
Yeah.
something like that. So I sprayed everywhere. Virus.
Yeah, everybody got it.
Yeah, everybody got it.
So how many Facebook friends do you have?
Not so many, because I don't have time. No, I don't have time to spend on
Yeah,
Facebook.
me too.
You are. Yeah.
I don't even go
You
through
are
Facebook.
one of them.
I
One
just
of the
go
very
directly-
few
Thank
that
you.
is in my Facebook.
Thank you. Well,
You
you're,
know,
you're,
because
you're a
I-
wonderful man, very sweet guy, and I like being your friend.
Yeah, but I don't have so much time to spend.
I know, I understand.
I know, because
You're
when I
being-
finish here,
Of course.
I go home, you take shower, you go to sleep.
Orvieto.
Orvieto, yeah, I'm still living in Orvieto, close to the Duomo. If I have a few minutes or few hours, just go down, walking on the street, have a glass of wine with my friends.
Right.
I have a question. Last
Yeah.
time we were here, you just came back from Thailand. Have you traveled
Yeah.
anywhere
Not
else?
only Thailand, I've been also in Siem Reap, Angkor Wat. You can see the picture there. I can show you.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Angkor Wat.
Where's Angkor?
It's a big monument. I mean, it's the largest monument in the world. It's the largest monument in the world because it's spraying 40 hectares. And they have this kind. It was for 1,000 years. It was taken by the forest.
Wow.
A little reflection, but that's okay.
That's amazing.
Oh, my goodness.
You see?
Wow.
That's amazing. I saw that on the way
This
back.
is one. But you have about 12 places like this in Siem Reap. Yeah.
What country is that?
Is that Thailand?
Siem Reap is, no. Siem Reap is the name. This is Angkor Wat. There is Angkor Wat, Angkor Thom. It was all ancient 1,300 Khmer religion people, you understand?
Cambodia.
Cambodia, yes, Cambodia. We talk about Cambodia. Because I flew in Bangkok,
Is that root?
but Bangkok is because it's a more cheaper flight to go there.
Right.
Oh my
You see the
God.
trees
Yes.
that it take? See the people?
Uh-huh.
How big is the trees?
Yes.
Wow.
Lord.
See the
Wow.
people here? Here.
Wow.
That's a tree. It's a part of tree because it's more longer. With rich.
I've never taken such a long video.
I know it is.
This is where they shot the film.
Okay, that's Franco Sala, my good friend Franco Sala. We're going to Orvieto in May, and I've already requested that he join us for dinner because he lives in Orvieto. So I figured we would be there. We would take him out to dinner. If I said if he couldn't do that for some reason, because he does run a business that he's doing 7 days a week. Whoa, we have a phone call. Excuse me for one moment.
Hello, welcome to Alan's Italy.
Hello.
Hi.
Could you tell me what if you've ever had a bad experience or a negative experience when in staying in a hotel or traveling around?
Okay. All right. Well, okay, that's a very good question. Have I ever had problems with hotels? Let me finish this. It'll take about 5 minutes, and then I'll see if I can give you an answer to the question. I'm going to hang up now, but I thank you very much for calling.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Okay, that's a good question. Hotel problems. So let's do that. But first, let me finish this. Okay, so this is, we're having lunch, and that silly looking yellow thing under my chin is the napkin that I had in me. And, you know, we're having a picture taken of us, and that napkin should not have been there, but what are you going to do? I'm an old guy. This is some appetizers that Franco brought for us. You know, he gives us some free stuff, you know, because he knows me. There's a beautiful salad right above it, but this is called bruschetta. And there were two kinds of bruschetta that he brought us. One with red tomato sauce, and the other with just some olive paste on it. This was delicious. And you eat that, you eat the salad, and you're full already. But nonetheless, he also brings over two kinds of pasta. One is the dark pasta that I'm eating, which was, you know, it just looks like some spaghetti, but it's incredibly good. It's unbelievable. With a glass of wine, it's just sublime. And this is the lighter pasta that I've also tasted. This is somebody else's, but either one, it's just wonderful. It has other dishes as well, delicious things. Okay, now we've left his restaurant, and we are now just walking along the walls and looking at some views across the valley. This is looking further to the west. Look at these. These are incredible scenes. This is a volcanic area with a lot of tufa, and just beautiful. Beautiful scenes. This is looking in the opposite direction, towards Lubriano, but not quite towards Lubriano. Kind of to the southwest, southeast rather. Nature's handiwork, quite beautiful. That's the town of Lubriano. We were just there before, and now this is the view from Civita looking across to Lubriano. It's a very pretty town. Laura and I sitting on what, I don't think the bench is from 2,500 years old, but years ago, but I think that stone behind us might be. The bench is more recent, of course. There's Laura with the magnificent backdrop behind her. There's this is the walkway that you take going towards the back of the town. If you want to go back, if you don't want to go back down the walkway, you take this walkway, which is another way of going. There's a beautiful door in the town, obviously a modern door. More streets, just love walking down the streets, and looking at the beautiful sights. More surrounding landscape. Going back at the main entrance now and looking at that. And we turn, this time we look to the left and we see that view. More countryside. I think we're actually on the walkway now going back. And we're on our way down. And that is the town of Civita di Bagnoregio, my favorite hill town in all of Italy. And now let me see if I have 5 minutes to answer that question. So let me answer that question about staying in hotels. Okay, so have I ever had a bad experience in a hotel? The answer is, I've been to Italy 19 times for periods ranging from either 7 days to almost 3 weeks, and I've had some bad experiences. For example, one second, let me just go to this point so I'll be ready for this. Let's see, Laura and I were on Lake Como, which is the area we're going to look at next week, staying at a hotel which is an incredibly beautiful hotel, the Hotel Villa Cipresi, which you'll see in some pictures next week. And the day we got there was a wedding, and the wedding took over the whole area, which was kind of nice while we were there. We got to meet the bride and groom and the families, and that was fun. And it's such a beautiful hotel that people have their weddings there. Unfortunately, they take over the hotel. And this particular wedding went on all through the night. The wedding didn't go on through the night, but the carousing went on afterwards, and we were up all night. And this was a terrible experience. We didn't sleep all night. And in Italy, you want to get a good night's sleep because you want to be able to do some sightseeing the next day. So we went down to the manager, and we told the manager that we didn't sleep. It was a terrible experience, and they should have told us that there was a wedding that night. Well, he didn't tell us, but he was wonderful. I forgot the fellow's name, but he's a wonderful man that we've seen a couple of times after that. And he gave us a free dinner at their restaurant, which he said you could have anything you want. And the dinner was about wound up $150. So that wound up a good experience. The other experience was at the hotel in Bagnoregio with the canopy, and I thought it was really going to be really romantic. And we came into the room, and it smelled from each room was decorated with a different smell of flowers. And this one was lily, which Laura has a difficult time with, and we almost had to leave because the fragrance was overpowering. Not only that, but you may have remembered that I showed you a bell tower right outside the room. This bell was going off all night, and we couldn't sleep that night either. So that was a bad experience we had. I've had other experiences which are kind of what you get in Italy. For example, very small bathrooms with showers that not only spray you but spray the entire bathroom. So my advice is cover the toilet paper before you take your shower, otherwise you're not going to be able to use it. Sometimes the air conditioning is not very good. You get some poor air conditioning, especially when I first went to Italy 20 years ago. The air conditioning was much poorer than that. Sometimes there are no elevators in the hotels, and you have to carry your luggage. The hotel in Venice, the Pensione Accademia, which is one of my favorite hotels in the world, is a very difficult hotel because there's no elevator. You walk up these unbelievably steep steps, but fortunately they have a bellhop to bring your luggage up for you. So, those are some negative experience. I never had a really awful experience where I had to check out of the hotel. People do, and I think the higher the expectation of the kind of room, similar to what you might expect in the United States, the more disappointed that you're going to be. So if you have not low expectations, but an understanding that in Italy they live a little differently, and they don't have the luxuries, the extent of the luxuries that we have in the United States, then I don't think you'll have a really bad experience. One other thing, when you're making your reservation, I would make reservations directly with the hotel. So you send emails back and forth between the hotel, and you establish a relationship between you and the hotel owner or the people that work in the hotel, and then when you actually get there, you greet them and you say, hi, I'm Alan, and I've been conversing with you on emails, and I may have called you. And they say, oh, yes, it's good to see you. So you have this friendship. And those people at the front desk are very helpful when it comes to planning, local trips, day trips around that area, and recommending restaurants and places to go. So if you can have a good relationship with them, always try to talk a little Italian. When you come in, go buonasera, which means good evening, and that's what I would suggest in terms of hotels. So thank you for that question, and that's it for tonight's show. And I would like to say to you, good evening and have pleasant dreams of Italy, and I will see you next week. Thank you very much for watching.